Sieg to snap it. Cole to hold it. 22-yard attempt. Daniel Carlson. Carlson. That's a winner. Viva Las Vegas. The Raiders are 3-0 for the first time in 19 years. 31-28 in overtime.
This is a Clock Dodgers podcast.
What happens in Vegas?
Carr with time.
What happens in Vegas? First down, touchdown, Super Bowl. Vegas Heat, Sin City Streets, Raiders 2 cold.
Touchdown.
Carter Waller, he can't be stopped. Jacobs with the rock. O-line hit the blocks. Offense off the chain. Defense is ready.
Oh, it's Henry.
Raider Nation, one goal, just win Vegas.
For the touchdown.
What happens in Vegas? What happens in Vegas? What Happens in Vegas podcast. I am your host, Neal Maligno, and what happens in Vegas is the Raiders go 3-0 for the first time since 2002. I cannot be more excited about where we are, Raider Nation. There is so many positives to come out of this game with. I mean, obviously there's the negatives. There's plenty of things to work on. We got to get back to the drawing board. We got to get better. We got to find the mistakes in the film and improve. Of course, all of that every week. It doesn't matter if you won a Super Bowl. You still come back and say that. It's just what you say. There are definitely things to come away from this game with that definitely need to be improved, right? I feel like the game, we came back from a 14-0 deficit, first of all, which was major, right? Maybe the old Raiders wouldn't have done that. Then you talk about taking this lead and it starts looking real comfortable. And at a point, I thought the game was over. I'm not a guy to, get ahead of the actual results. I'm more of a realist. I'm more of like, I'm not going to say we're 3-0, so the game is over kind of guy. But I got so confident at one point in the game that we were going to be 3-0 before it got there. And then I got very pessimistic that it wasn't going to happen. Because the Raiders let the Dolphins back in the game. Shout out. I mean, the Dolphins did their thing. Jacoby Brissett looked good and, made some things happen. And it was what it was. The Raiders obviously had mistakes. They obviously had things that they could improve upon, which I'm sure they will. I'm confident in that. Because that's one thing we could say about this year's Raiders. It's not the same as last year. It's not the same as the year before. It's not the same as 5 years ago. It's not the same as 10 years ago. We got to stop holding on to the past in that sense where we expect them to not be able to overcome certain things. John Gruden has this team playing, and you can hear it when the guys talk. You can see it when they play. You can see it from the numbers. You can see it in the post-game interviews when Derek Carr speaks, when the coaches speak. Gus Bradley really has this defense. I mean, what a difference this coaching is making. What a difference. I mean, obviously they got new players and, some veterans, some young talent. Guys have, fixed their lives up a little bit and let, some bad habits die. And so all these things are just coming together. And obviously there's no one thing that made it happen. But man, it is really coming together. They are buzzing on defense. The offense is able to stay in games and score points when they're needed. And it is just a beautiful thing to see. I'm not ahead of myself. I'm not saying, the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl. Oh, the Raiders, are the best team ever. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just saying when our team wins, we're going to talk about it and we're going to be happy about it. All right. I'm not going to sit here and be sad that the Raiders won. I'm not going to sit here and listen to, you shouldn't be so excited. Why are you getting so ahead of yourself? Team start off 3-0. Nah, man, I take victory laps. The team won. There is nothing in life that I believe when you win that you don't celebrate. You celebrate all the victories. Do you assume that everything is taken care of because of the victories? No, you still got to work hard. You still got to put all the effort in. You still got to continue to grind and improve and get better and also be realistic with your expectations. But when them wins come, baby, we are going to definitely celebrate them. That's what we sure as hell get sad when we lose, right? We sure as hell feel it. So I'll be damned if I don't get excited when we win. Raiders are 3-0. It's beautiful. It's the spirit, the energy, the confidence around the team feels better than it has in a long time. And there's so many things to get into, so many big plays, so many numbers, so many stats, so many things that are just happening, so many just so much is going on right now. One of my favorite things to do, especially after a win, right? Especially when the team is playing well, is to go on Twitter. You're going to get your trolls. You're going to get your Raider haters. You're going to get the Raider Nation who's out there in full effect. And then I also love the guys who are instantly breaking down film, instantly breaking down the stats, and throwing the data out there, whether it's just NFL numbers, whether it's fantasy. You guys know I love fantasy football. Whether it's just, totals, yardage totals, touchdowns, whatever it is. And there's so many on Twitter today after that big victory. And let's just run down some of them because some of them are really exciting stuff. First of all, let's start off with Mad Max. Max Crosby out here crushing it. NFL on CBS says Max Crosby continues to be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Most pressures this season. He leads the league with 21. He also leads the league with most quarterback hits with 12. That's not to talk about all the times this guy's out here being double teamed, holding penalties, all kinds of stuff. If you're watching these games, you know that the Raiders have one of the most dominant defensive ends, pass rush defensive ends in the league. Max Crosby is on fire. It's not a freak incident. It's not a coincidence. It's not it's not some little trend that's going to fall off. This is who he is. And we've seen it kind of, simmering, but with this new defense, with Ngakoue on the other side, with everybody just coming together, and him getting his life straight, because obviously he had the personal, things that he was dealing with that he straightened out, which again, this just goes to show you, man, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to get better. And he's going to continue to get better. This isn't even, he's not tapped out here. There's more to the ceiling. You know what I mean? So that's one of the great ones, which it was cool. He acknowledged it on Twitter too. He put brick by brick. So, he's happy. He's excited with the way things are turning out. And it's also great. Like, the personal challenges that he went through and what he's overcome. So to see this on the other end of it for him, it's got to be really rewarding. So shout out to Max Crosby. He's one of my favorite players on the team, one of the favorite players in the NFL. So that's great to see. And then Josh DeBow, he Associated Press sports writer, he's always dropping numbers, man. He's the numbers guy on Twitter. Anytime you want to see numbers about, what's happening, he's dropping them, good or bad. I'm just going to literally run down a bunch of his tweets here because he was on fire today with a bunch of really interesting ones. Raiders have overcome a 14-point deficit twice to win so far this season. The only other times they did that in an entire season since 1991 was 93, 99, 2016. He said how things have changed. The Raiders have 4 players with 200-plus yards receiving. Ruggs, Waller, Edwards, Renfro through 3 games. They had 4 players to do that from 2003 to 2014. Randy Moss in 2005, Ronald Curry in 2007. I love Ronald Curry. Louis Murphy, I loved him too, 2010. And Brandon Myers in 2012. Even better, the Raiders are the first team in NFL history to have 4 players reach 200 yards receiving in the first 3 games of a season. What? In NFL history? Say that again. NFL history. He also even said on the same fact, he said, no other team has more than 2 currently right now. I mean, come on. Josh is dropping the heat. Josh is dropping the heat this morning, man. Oh, he said, he also said this last one from Josh that I'll share. Let me see here. Raiders are the first team with 4 receivers with 200-plus yards receiving in the first 3 games of the season. The 2009 Raiders didn't get their 4th player to 200 until the 15th game of the season, when Darren McFadden joined Zach Miller, Louis Murphy, and Chad Shillings. Those were the days. 2009. What a time to be a Raider fan. That was an interesting time period. Chad Shillings. Some of these names that I'm seeing in these tweets are just bring back some memories, man. Some of these guys, as a Raider fan, you really pulled for them and were really, hoping for big things and all this kind of stuff. And there's tons of more tweets from Josh. Just go on there and check them out. And see, all the stuff that he's mentioning, because he's got some interesting stuff on there a bunch of it, honestly, from yesterday, today. There's a bunch of stuff on there. So go check out Josh. Shout out to Josh for all the stuff that he's he's super active doing this. So shout out to him for that. Just lots of good stuff, man. Just lots of good stuff all across the board. Get on there. Josh Jacobs was tweeting all the celebrities that are at the celebrities at the game in Vegas. Cause the Las Vegas Raiders have become a celebrity, spot at this point. It's just crazy, man. So many good stats on here. Next Gen Stats posted a bunch of good ones. PFF, Derek Carr, the only quarterback with 300 plus passing yards in every game this season, and the Raiders are 3-0. Like, come on, man. Like, this is great stuff. How often do we get to talk about this kind of stuff with the Raiders? You understand how I'm so excited and why I'm so excited. And I'm bragging about it. I'm boasting. I'm happy. What do you want me to be? We celebrate this, guys. We got to celebrate this. Brian Edwards, I was tweeting about him during the game at the fourth quarter. This guy and OT always like starts making plays, and it's like, why don't they throw this guy the ball more often during the game earlier? But it says here, Brian Edwards leads the NFL with 163 receiving yards on 7 catches in the fourth quarter and OT of games this season. Second in the NFL, Henry Ruggs with 130 yards on 5 catches. So again, that's Jimmy Durkin. Raiders are just crushing it from a number standpoint on the offense. It's a beautiful sight to see. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, this team is so much fun to watch. They're so much better than the Raiders of, years past, and, what we've kind of come to expect when watching, Raiders games, and the fact that we feel like, hey, this might just all fall apart at, the last second here, or this team is certainly going to make this last drive and beat the Raiders. And so the Raiders defense has come up in a way where it's like, we're starting to have faith, and we don't want to get too crazy and, put too much pressure, I guess, on the confidence that we have for the team, but it certainly is starting to lean in a way where rather than go typical old Raiders, or, here comes that 2-minute drive, or here comes that, fourth quarter, we give it all up type of thing. And it felt like that was going to happen. But then again, the Raiders just made plays just enough on offense, just enough on defense to pull it together. If we're thinking about some guys that stood out in this game, obviously, the safeties looked pretty good. Trayvon Mullen looked good. He's finally, seems to be getting some of the respect, but he was out there making some plays. I got concerned when he got hurt, man. I was really concerned. I'm like, no, we cannot lose this dude. But even then, the guys that came in for him that, just for the short stints that he kept leaving, they did their thing. They did just enough. Casey Hayward. Can we say enough about Casey Hayward? Like, unbelievable how much that guy's mattered. And the other guy that we've added, so Casey Hayward, one vet that has made a dramatic, cannot be overstated improvement to this defense. The other guy is Denzel Perryman. That one has shocked me a lot, because while Hayward, I thought, okay, he's going to start, right? Like, it just is what it is. He's been a good vet, and he knows the system and all those good things. And no real cornerback on the team besides Mullen had really stood out at a level where you're like, they're going to hold him off necessarily. But Perryman, I did not expect him to come in. And if he can stay healthy, this is going to be great for the Raiders, because he has crushed it. He is getting tackles everywhere. He's on every single big play. He's making an impact, no question, everywhere, like all over the field. He is a great guy. Not only, that not only from a standpoint of he's making plays, but that, man, these young guys get to learn from him. And that's incredible. Like, it definitely has its weight and value, just from that, like, play like that guy, do what that guy does. Cause whatever he does, if I do that, then maybe I can, make an impact like he's making an impact. Cause that man, Perryman, is everywhere. So him and Hayward, great job. Even on the defensive line, some of the vets like Carl, Darius, Quentin Jefferson, they're all making things happen. And so it's just the vets are really stepping up. I don't know. I can't think of a Raiders team in the recent past where, like, there's been this such positive mix of veterans and young guys, and they're all just, so fluid and so smooth together. It's been really fun to watch. And for a Raider fan, we're not used to it. It's been a long time since we're used to a defense and offense that they're not perfect. They have lots of places to improve. They have lots of things to work on. But when you know that a big play is made, you don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me at this point, is that as a guy who in the recent past has thought, well, the Raiders are going to, drop the ball again. Here we go. To the Raiders actually could do this. They can make a play right now. They can make a play to either save this game, win this game, whatever it is. I actually believe that now. And I used to not think that for a while. I used to think they're going to figure out a way to lose this game. So, John implementing this system and continuing to get to lay his groundwork on that. Mike Mayock adding the players that need to be added. Gus Bradley and this defense. And then just all the players, man, putting in the hard work and fighting for each other. I'm proud of this team, man. I'm proud of this team. Again, I'm always going to celebrate. I'm always going to celebrate the victories. I'm not going to understate them. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up because it is just a recap to week 3. We got a lot to look forward to in week 4, a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. I appreciate you guys. As always, to follow me at Clock Dodgers on Twitter or Instagram to stay in touch with the weekly ongoings and following the games and the latest news and all that kind of stuff. That's where you'll find me. Again, just let me know you listen to the podcast. I'll follow you back. It's hard to follow everybody or keep track of it. But if you just hit me up and say, hey, I listen to the podcast, I listen to what happens in Vegas, great show, just following you here on social or whatever it is. I'll know it's you. I'll follow back. That way we can keep in touch and chop it up. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't already hit subscribe, please do so. I really appreciate it. As well as leave a review. Your reviews, as I always say, I say it every single week. Your review is what helps some people know whether to listen to this podcast or a different one, or to just pass this one and not listen to it at all. When they see your review, when they see reviews from Raider Nation endorsing it, supporting it, saying yes, this is a good spot to hit up, then they stop by. So I appreciate you guys for that. Other than that, guys, I'm out. I'll catch you on the next episode. We should have a preview episode and maybe some other, details to see what else is going on by that time. Other than that, guys, as always, what happens in Vegas is Raiders football.
This is the Clock Dodgers Podcast.